everyone, and welcome back to FanMade. The MCU is one of the strongest running franchises in the entertainment today. And with every single new movie, they expand the world further and bring more iconic characters to life. But even with all the movies they pump out every single year, it's impossible to give all these characters their own moments to shine. Luckily, Marvel found a solution for this as well. Have 2 or 3 of your pre-established heroes team up for what normally would be just a solo movie. And we have already seen what some of these characters can do in supporting roles. Of course, we have the big team-up movies where we see this, but an even better example is Captain America Winter Soldier. In Winter Soldier we got to spend a lot of time with Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow. She was basically the female lead of the movie. And because of it, we got to learn a lot more about her character. And clearly Marvel's a big fan as well, as we see them do it again this week with Thor Ragnorak, where Thor and the Hulk will team up for an intergalactic buddy road trip. So with Ragnarok raining down on us, I want to give you guys my suggestions for what characters should team up for a Marvel road trip. Because I believe there's one character in the MCU that both needs and deserves her own chance to shine. And yes, I said her, because I believe Scarlet Witch is the most underused character in the entire MCU. I chose to focus on Scarlet Witch instead of a, let's say, Vision or Falcon, because I believe there's some really interesting ground to cover. And with Elizabeth Olsen, we've got a great actress that I'm curious to see if she can lead her own film. The most obvious thing to focus on would be her powers. What are they exactly, and just how strong is she really? In the comics, her powers are known as chaos magic, and she's able to do some incredible things with it. The highlight definitely being the creation of the House of M timeline. We know that in the movies her powers originate from the Mind Stone inside Loki's scepter, giving her some sort of weird energy manipulation. We know her powers can be used to tear apart robots and contain small explosions and give people some sort of weird visions, but that's about all we know of them. Maybe we can even retcon her powers a bit and link them to similar magic as that from Dr.Strange. It's always better to have a basic understanding of a character's power, and having Scarlet Witch star in her own film really gives us the chance to learn more about it. Another thing that makes Scarlet Witch a prime candidate to star in her own movie is just how much emotional turmoil she has been through over these last couple of movies. Think about it. First her home is destroyed, she's experimented on by a Nazi cult, her brother dies fighting an evil robot, and she fails to save the lives of so many innocent civilians. So saying she has it rough is downplaying it a bit. When so much happens to you and you're now also a wanted criminal because of the events of Civil War, you might start wondering what your place in the world really is. And that's what I want to make the movie about. Wanda trying to find out who she is and where she belongs in the world, with the help of one of her fellow heroes. So who's there to help Wanda find herself? Well, I've got a couple ideas. 2 of them are pretty obvious, but one of them is a little bit more out there. So let's talk about it. Age of Ultron and Civil War have already started teasing about the relation between Wanda and the Vision. And with their powers coming from the same source, there's a lot the story can play with. Then there's also the years of history between the characters in the comics. Characters can be too similar though, and especially with these 2, I think they're just way too similar to create some interesting character moments. Another thing that may drag the movie down is the built-in romantic history between them. While a movie never has to follow its source material to the teeth, Marvel has already teased this storyline and this relation so much, and it's such a big part of the comics, I don't think they will drop it. And I don't think this movie needs a romantic subplot. On a totally different side of the spectrum, we have Hawkeye. Just like Vision, Hawkeye already has an established relationship with Wanda. But where the relation between her and Vision is one of almost equals, the relationship she shares with Hawkeye is one of a surrogate brother and sister. We also know that these actors have some great on-screen chemistry. We've seen that in the previous Marvel movies they've done, as well as this year's Wind River. Another nice thing about Hawkeye is how he's a totally different kind of hero and person than Wanda. Where she has powers, he is a hero because of his skills. Where she was forced into this life, he, as far as we know it, chose it. At least in the MCU that is. And where she has no one left, he has his family on the farm. These differences between the characters will cause conflict, making the story way more interesting. The last character that could make an interesting pairing is the Sorcerer Supreme himself, Dr.Strange. While these 2 characters haven't met yet, I think putting them in the same movie will be pretty interesting. In the comics, Wanda's powers eventually crossed over into magic, So why not in the movies? When she was exposed to the mind gem, she could have become naturally in tune with the energies that make the Marvel magic possible. And when Dr. Strange, a man who made himself what he is now by rigorous studying, would meet someone who can perform magic as a second nature without even having to study it at all, this would clash against everything that he knows. We will have two characters with similar powers, but obtain them in vastly different ways. And when looking at Dr. Strange's personality, I'm pretty sure there will be conflict. However, it doesn't matter which characters you put together if you don't have an interesting story. After all that she's been through, Wanda isn't really sure who she is or where she belongs. She's getting closed off and becoming more distant, and her fellow Avengers notice, but they give her the space to work it out for herself. However, either Vision, Hawkeye or Strange intervenes, and they take Wanda to Sokovia to find herself. And to make sure that Wanda can get her peace, they travel low-tech and incognito, cut off from all the other heroes. This kicks off the trip where Wanda and we will learn more about her and her powers. But it's a Marvel movie, and a Marvel movie will need action. Maybe it's a corrupt militia trying to take control of Sokovia. Or it's a remnant of AIM or Hydra seeing this as their chance to take out two Avengers. We can also have a little bit more fun and make the villain Mephisto. While the history these two characters share might be a bit too much for a Marvel movie, they could bring in Mephisto to be the villain in a Scarlet Witch movie to tip their hat to that. Make Mephisto try to influence Wanda and make her a pawn in his grander schemes. He would plague and haunt her, just as Voldemort does to Harry in the Order of the Phoenix, where he influences her inner thoughts and feelings. And then when he almost has her in his grasp, he would appear before her, trying to take full control. And this is the moment where Wanda realizes who she is and where she belongs. And she would rise up and face Mephisto in the final fight. Scarlet Witch is one of Marvel's characters with so much potential, and I really want them to explore more of it. But what do you guys think? Are you interested in the Scarlet Witch movie? What heroes should team up with her? And what did you guys think about my pitch? Let me know in the comments below. And stay tuned for next week's episode, where we will look at the next big step for the first person shooter. Till then, my name is Tom, and hope to see you all next time.